How's it going tonight, brother?
I'm here. Lots to talk about.
Oh, yes, there is. I'm going to turn the volume down a little bit on that.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm going to go grab something to drink real fast. So,
all right.
Here. So,
yeah, go for it.
Non-alcoholic, just lemonade for a change.
Oh, I thought you said you were going to get something.
Yeah, I am. Let me go grab some lemonade. Hold on.
Yeah, go ahead, man. I really wish I knew where my reading glasses were.
I buy them by the dozen.
Yeah, I need to start doing that too. We're going to get everybody a couple minutes to get up in here and kind of get on deck here. We are live at 1931 hours, 14th September 2022. And the Denver time zone. So we are on time, but we're going to wait a few minutes and let everybody kind of get in here and get settled in before we really jump into things, guys. So bear with us.
All
right. Hey, did you get a chance to check out the Chinese, Japanese markets and the closing on the Dow Jones today?
I didn't do that with some of the markets, but I got some other things I want to chat about.
Okay.
So we are in such a shit show right now. It's unbelievable.
The understatement of the year, isn't it?
Hey, Zulu, how are you?
Good.
Hey,
how
Zulu,
are you?
We got you on. You're now live.
Oh, goody.
You're not. We're not starting just yet. We're getting everybody time to get in here.
Yeah, I've been here for a minute.
Yep,
Listening
no worries.
to you.
I'm sorry I didn't see it.
No,
Give me a
you're
minute.
fine.
There's a lot going on here right now on the net, so give me a minute. Yeah, I'm gonna need a few minutes, guys. We'll just hang tight, let everybody get in here and get settled in, and give me time to catch up on what I'm looking at here.
Okay. You okay?
Oh yeah, I'm alive.
Didn't hack up a lung there, did you?
I check my pulse every day, and if I have a pulse, it's a good day. So
Yeah. Yeah. If your obituary's not in the paper, you got to go to work, right?
that's it.
That's what I was always told.
I don't mind my work, so it's kind of fun.
Probably more fun than mine.
I'm basically retired anyway, so I'm still flying airplanes and teaching people how to fly airplanes. And
That's cool.
when I'm not doing that, I'm out of my sailboat. So
Oh, wow. Sounds like it's rough.
yeah, it's tough. Somebody has to do it.
There's a lot of retired people where I'm at. A lot.
Yeah. Well, the end of very beginning of November, I'll be in southern Florida because my boat's in Indian Town, and I have to get it in the water. And
Where's that? I don't know where Indian Town is.
Lake Okeechobee,
Oh, is that south?
the big
Like-
lake right in the middle of the state.
Oh, is that like Orlando-ish?
Yep.
Okay. All right. That's about an hour and a half away from me.
I got to move the boat from there and eventually get to Miami on the ICW, and then across the Bahamas, and then through the Caribbean down to Panama and back up to Mexico. So, yeah,
Wow.
hopefully when I'm out there, I'll let you know how to contact me, but we'll get together.
You should do
Hey,
that.
Bubba, do me a favor. Send that to my secure. No, I can't verify anything until I have my hands on it. So you need to send that to me, and then I can pass that on and see if I can verify it. Yep. No, it's not a big deal. Yeah, I just wanted to let you know. You gotta send it email, but only that secure.
Okay.
Like, yeah, I'll good, dude. No, it's kind of happening right now, so I wanted to stay on top of it best I
My
can.
laptop died, so I'm on my phone again.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know what I
No,
need for Christmas?
Yeah, we're live now. Yeah,
I'm
we're kind of getting
surprised
everybody
the
time to get
computer
in.
I'm using is like 10 years old. I put it in storage for a
I
while.
forgot to mute my mic.
Yeah.
Yeah, we heard.
Yeah, I gave up flying about 4.5 years ago and took my boat and sailed around the world.
Wow.
Abraham helped me quite a bit when I was being chased by
Yeah, I
pirates.
heard you say that last time. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So he's your first mate. Is that what that is then?
He was the first guy in the States going, well, yeah, the closest people are about 1,000 miles away, but at least they know you're out there. So
Right. Yeah.
it was fun. I'd do it again, maybe.
Maybe. I wouldn't. Not on a sailboat.
Ah,
I don't even know if I would do it on a ship. I mean, I just don't want to drown.
Cool, man. Appreciate it, brother. Thank you.
oh,
I'm out.
you wouldn't drown, but
No.
I mean, I can swim, but I don't think it matters if you're,
no, it wouldn't matter out there.
because it's so cold, right?
Actually, the water wasn't too bad. It's just so far away.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, maybe you would have a chance somebody would pick you up, like the Coast Guard or something, maybe.
I doubt that. There's just nobody there. I mean,
Nobody going by.
when I
They're all
crossed,
stuck in China.
I crossed the Indian Ocean. It's 6,000 miles. It's twice the width of the United States.
Good God. How long did that take?
Oh, it took months, and I was by myself, and you realize that the closest person is up in the International Space Station. It's like,
Oh my God. That's a fate worse than death.
it's pretty humbling.
I could not do it. Could not do it.
Well, you get out there, and what options do you have? It's like, well, I got to keep going, I guess. So
Better have good maps and a lot of prayers.
I had both, plus a sextant, and all sorts of GPS devices.
Cool.
So, no, I'd like to get the boat into the Sea of Cortez in Mexico, and then maybe get some of the veterans down there and teach them how to sail. So
That'd be cool.
Yeah,
That would be cool. I bet they'd like that.
it'd be fun. We could
Nice.
teach them all about heel hauling and walking the plank and all those other great things. So
Every January, Tampa has a, what do they call it? Gasparilla. Have you ever heard of that?
yeah, I have a
It's like
cousin.
a big pirate thing.
I have a cousin that lives in St. Petersburg, so I was there just
Oh.
last January.
Oh,
So
that's where I work there.
that's where we'll be coming into town, and then
Cool.
go from there to probably the end of October-ish, and then going into Lake Okeechobee. So yeah,
North and then south.
yep. I'll have to get your contact, and maybe we can link up there and try to solve the world's problems.
I bet we could figure it out.
If not, I could tell you all
The
sorts.
world.
Yeah.
I bet we could figure it out.
Yeah.
Why is it echoing like that?
Oh, he probably has YouTube or something on as well.
I'm taking care of that right now. All right.
Yeah, you're echoing. What am I supposed to look up on YouTube? I have it on my Roku TV, so what am I supposed to search for on there?
You're on this one. I'd stay here. You
Just do
have-
one? Okay.
He has it broadcast in 2 or 3 different channels.
Okay.
There's actually, it's a time delay on YouTube. I guess YouTube uses that to kind of blank out anything.
Like to beep things or something?
Yep.
Oh. Well, yeah, they have live. I guess they have live stuff.
Yeah, well, live still has a delay, so they can beep everything out. Go, well, nope, didn't say that.
Yeah. Gotta have control. Control.
All right, guys. I think we're ready to start.
Yay, I'll be right here.
Awesome. I don't know if you got a monologue to follow mine, but I'm going to go ahead and break out, and then I'll just pass it on to you here in a minute.
How to make this bigger?
So, welcome to TCG Global Maritime Security Consulting. A service we provide is American Legionnaire. American Legionnaire is a group of former operators, intelligence analysts, people that give a shit, and a lot of patriots, guys. We all came together to try to work a network to where we could share information, get information, not only in here so we can verify and vet it, but get it out to you guys. I'm Abraham. I'm going to be your host tonight. This is Intrepid, my partner. We also have Zulu 72. And Zulu 72, I think, is coming at us with a little bit of the financial market intelligence, as well as Intrepid's kind of watching the markets, watching the financials, and seeing kind of what's going on with the Dow Jones. I'm going to touch on it just a little bit and let these guys kind of take over that. So welcome aboard. I'm glad everybody's here and joining us tonight. I can't see a lot on the who's here, who's not in the comments section, which I'm going to get to here in a minute. I'm really busy on my other screens at the moment. There's some things that are happening over in Europe and Russia and Ukraine and all that area that I'm kind of trying to keep an eye on. There's a lot of pieces moving on the board. So while I'm focused on that and also watching our CONUS map, CONUS, for those that don't know, is continental United States. So we're not only watching the globe, but we're watching everything going on here at home. That map's pretty busy tonight, so it's been a pretty busy day for that matter. It is the 14th of September, the year 2022, and it is roughly 1943 hours Mountain Time here in Denver. And we are going to begin our sit rep tonight with just some headlines. Follow that up with a little other information that I got that I want to share, and then I'm going to turn it over to these guys. So we usually begin with something special, and I think we're going to start ending the broadcast every night with something funny, something more humorous, maybe a meme, a tweet, a video, maybe just take a peek at Potato and see what he's doing getting lost on stage again. So either way, whatever it is, it's going to be funny. We're going to end the show with something on a positive note, and we got to have as much fun and laugh at things as much as we're serious and seeing all the information and the data that we look at every day. So we don't want everybody to get too wrapped up into the activity and the motion of the intelligence world without having a little bit of fun too. That's important. So what I wanted to do tonight is start with a reading out of the Bible, the Holy Bible. And just a little knowledge from our Heavenly Father. I'm going to start with Ezekiel 33:6. I'm actually going to start with chapter 21, Jerusalem's fall explained. So with the activity that's going on with Iran and the very real threat that their nuclear program is now fully operational, we're expecting in the intel world to see some kind of retaliation from Israel, a strike maybe in the heartland of Iran, taking out facilitation, taking out their missile defenses, taking out their missile launching platforms. So I'm going to start with Jerusalem's fall explained in Ezekiel 33:21. In the 12th year of our exile, in the 10th month, on the 5th day, a man who had escaped from Jerusalem came to me and said, "The city has fallen." Now the evening before the man arrived, the hand of the Lord was on me, and he opened my mouth before the man came to me in the morning. So my mouth was opened, and I was no longer silent. Then the word of the Lord came to me, "Son of man, the people living in those ruins in the land of Israel are saying, Abraham was only one man, yet he possessed the land. But we are many. Surely the land has been given to us as our possession. Therefore say to them, this is what the sovereign Lord says. Since you eat meat with the blood still in it, and look to your idols and shed blood, should you then possess the land? You rely on your sword, you do detestable things, and each of you defiles his neighbor's wife. Should you then possess the land? Say this to them. This is what the sovereign Lord says. As surely as I live, those who are left in the ruins will fall by the sword. Those out in the country I will give to them, the wild animals, to be devoured, and those in the strongholds and caves will die of a plague. I will make the land a desolate waste, and her proud strength will come to an end, and the mountains of Israel will become desolate, so that no one will cross them. Then they will know that I am the Lord, when I have made the land a desolate waste, because of all the detestable things they have done. As for you, son of man, your people are talking together about you by the walls and at the doors of the houses, saying to each other, come and hear the message that has come from the Lord. My people come to you as they usually do, and sit before you to hear your words, but they do not put them into practice. Their mouths speak of love, but their hearts are greedy for unjust gain. Indeed, to them, you are nothing more than one who signs and sings love songs with a beautiful voice and plays an instrument well. For they hear your words, but do not put them into practice. When all this comes true, and it surely will, then they will know that a prophet has been among them. The Lord will be Israel's shepherd. I wanted to start the show tonight with that because, I think in the intel world, a lot of the analysts are looking at what's going on with Iran right now and expecting Israel to react to what is happening. Of course, on another front, we have, and there's another screen up here, guys. I want to ask that everybody go over to Texas News Studio at Twitch or YouTube and support that channel, guys. This gentleman has taken it upon himself to start his own media corporation and news broadcasting channel to bring the headlines out that the mainstream media refuses to put out there to us. So he's covering a lot of information that you're not going to get from the mainstream Fox, MSLSD, and CNN. So I'm just ask if you have it, and if you're capable, go over to support those guys. We would like to support as well, but we all want to help each other out here. Keep our work going and try to cover the cost of the work we're doing. So we definitely want to build this community. We want to put on a good broadcast for all of you guys that are following us. And we had asked that you support the other ones out there too. We all try to work as a team and help each other, try to get the word out, get the information out, so that all people around the world can have a chance at better preparing themselves for whatever may come. In Russia, the analysts and a lot of retired military generals in the United States Air Force and the Army have decided to speak up, and they're concerned. And their concern is with Ukraine making the advances they are in the Kharkiv region and into the Donbass. for those familiar with the maps. Let me turn this volume down a little bit. I think we got a little background noise here. All right. Kharkiv region of Ukraine and Donbass. Ukraine's making advances. Now, a lot of people suspect that the advances that Ukraine is making may be just more smoke and mirrors coming out of Ukraine, more propaganda. The truth of the matter is we're watching the maps and the activities that are going on in Ukraine, and it's showing that Ukraine is indeed making advances into these regions. They've regrouped. They've got their military more better organized. We've been over there training these guys to take on the Russian military. And as it is right now, as it stands, Russia probably has more troops in that region deserting their positions, either surrendering or running away, than they do have in the fight. Putin's being backed into a corner because of this situation, and there's more than likely going to be a reaction, something severe, something serious. And a lot of the generals are speaking of Putin maybe using a small nuke, a tactical nuke, in Ukraine to try to get Ukraine to back off. His military is not up to par. They're getting their ass spanked. That's the truth. And I'm not gonna give that to you soft and fuzzy. You're gonna get it extra crispy tonight, as far as that's concerned. Russia just wasn't prepared for this. The military is not trained well. The military and I've been around the Russian military, so to speak, and historically studying it, learning it over the years, paying close attention. I study the Russian martial arts, so I enjoy the history of Russia. I enjoy the history of their military, but I also know the sufferings of their military. They're broke. They're poor. Their government doesn't put the money up to better equip them, better train them, and better educate them on warfare. The last war Russia fought was Afghanistan and Chechnya. So they don't have a lot of combat experience, much like the Chinese military. They don't have a lot of combat experience. What countries do have combat experience are the United States, the United Kingdom, Australia, and our allies who sent their people there to experience it, go through it, let us train them, give them an opportunity to take that knowledge they gain on the battlefield back to their new guys and train them up so that they're better equipped and prepared if there is ever a conflict. Russia hasn't done that. The most Russia's done is sent their Wagner group over to Syria and a few other places, and had their private contractors come back and try to attempt to train their military, and that mission has failed terribly. So Ukraine has been engaged with this since 2014, the earliest, and they are fully equipped, fully well trained, and fully prepared to take on the Russian military. We've been over there helping them. That's not a secret. The word is out. Our agencies are on the ground, and they're doing what they do. I'm not going to hide that fact. I'm not going to sit here and be quiet about it. We are over there engaged in this conflict 100%. The potato in the White House is going to continue sending a lot of money over there, our money. Meanwhile, I did confirm this just a few days ago, that guys getting out of the military, and this is more than one source I got this from, guys themselves I've talked to, that have discharged out of the military, separated, they're on their own, they're away, they haven't got their final pay. So I'm still waiting on final contract pay. So a lot of us are waiting on some money here that we're not seeing, but yet the potato continues to send a ton of money over to Ukraine and spend this and that of taxpayer dollars on all these Green New Deal programs that they're out there pushing real hard, these social justice programs, if you want to call them that. And a lot of the rest of us are getting left behind. You're not going to hear us cry and bitch about it. I'm just making it known. I'm putting the word out that we're all sitting here wondering, are we ever going to see that money? Because right now that money would help greatly. A lot of us could really use it. Even those that have means could use it. So that's going on. We saw the Dow Jones yesterday, more or less, I guess the word I would use is crush. They crashed hard. And today it didn't get much better. And I don't expect it to get much better. I expect to see it drop down to 27, 28,000, where it's sitting at, I believe, just over 31, maybe 32,000 at the moment. I don't have it in front of me right now at the moment. Looks like we're watching a commercial. I apologize for that. That wasn't supposed to happen. So just ignore that and listen to me. These guys have more of the updates on the Dow Jones and kind of what the industrial side is doing, what the commodities markets are doing. So I'm going to let them go into more depth with that. But what this means is supply chain failures. It means that companies are going to pull back production. Companies are going to pull back what assets and resources they have to try to make it through this economic hardship and survive till at least we get to spring and next summer. Winter's always hard on a lot of companies, depending on the industry they're involved in. The only industries we're seeing that are not really hurting at the moment are the utilities companies. And I asked everybody yesterday, and I'm still going to post those pictures that I took. But I asked everybody yesterday to kind of pay attention in the Discord server. Pay attention to your utility bills over the next month or 2 months. Read the fine print, find the hidden charges and the hidden fees. You're going to start seeing hikes in that, and it's probably going to get a hell of a lot worse by December, and we're in the middle of winter. What's going on in Europe with Russia shutting off the gas to Europe, and they're looking at a very cold winter, not being able to heat their homes. That's going to happen here. It's going to be different in the United States, how it happens to us. A large part of that has to do with rail. Yesterday I spoke, and last few days I've spoke with people that are related to family members who are involved in rail as engineers and operators, dispatchers. I've talked to some folks that are involved in the rail industry themselves, and more at the executive level, some even in the maintenance level. The unions have been in negotiations. Union Pacific, Burlington Northern, and several other companies. And of course, the unions pushed a 50 to 55% pay increase for all their engineers and all their rail employees that are in the union. That doesn't include independent contractors that are out there working for the railroads. They came to an agreement, and when you go to the table to negotiate these things, and I actually took a pretty extended class a year and a half ago. I took an extended class on negotiations and in kind of learning the mechanics of how to negotiate when it comes to any kind of corporate level or executive level, type of negotiation. There's good and bad things you can do. I learned a lot of the good things, and I was educated a little bit on the things you don't do. But when you go to the table, you have plan A, plan B, and your plan C will always fail. Your plan B is probably last resort. Your plan A is what you want to put on the table and make the other side believe that is the best deal for them as well. Not just you, but it'll benefit them. Well, they came to the table and they said, we want a 55% increase in pay, and we want certain benefits to be elevated, more benefits added, blah, blah, blah. But they were willing to settle at a lower rate. They don't make that obvious or known at the table, but both sides are kind of assuming that. They agreed at 24% raise. And some of the guys that I talked to and emailed me said it was a 25%. Some said it was 24. It doesn't matter. They came down to a 24% agreement on a pay raise, and the benefits looked good. The offers were healthy enough that the union accepted and said, okay, we're good with that. They're ready to close the negotiations, and they came up with a deal. They're putting it in the fine print. Their lawyers are there working it out, and they get a call from the White House. Who gets the call? Which phone rang, I don't know, but I do know that the White House influenced this and said, we need a strike. This will help benefit the Green New Deal. It'll help bring the economy back a little stronger by the end of winter. We need to have a strike. We need to push the rail to slow down or shut down. The slowdown didn't work. They tried this already. If you guys remember last year, about October, November last year, the flashbang administration slowed rail down from the ports. They even put speed limits on the trains, and they started shipping slower. The entire time we're being lied to and being told how the port unions, the longshoremen, were going to start upping their production, and they were even going to employ more people to try to keep up with all the volume of shipping that was obviously stacking up in the ports and the shipping container yards. And it appeared by satellite view, those satellite images that we were looking at, that these yards were completely overstacked with all these containers and all these goods, all these commodities, and it just wasn't moving. And of course, they blamed rail for it. They said rail is a big part of the problem. Rail blamed longshoremen, and ultimately, at the end of the day, the truckers were blamed for it. While the truckers were going on TikTok and YouTube and making video shorts and saying, look, I'm standing here at the port with my truck. I've been here 3 weeks. I'm living out of my truck. I haven't been home. I'm waiting on one container that gets me back to my home so I can go see my family. And they refused to load me. And they told me it'd be 2, 3, or 4 weeks before they'd give me a container to put on my truck. So the truckers were pretty quick about defending themselves in their position when all that went down. They tried to slow the rail down. That didn't do enough to hurt the economy in the United States. That didn't slow things down enough to where people are not getting their packages in Amazon and FedEx and UPS within a somewhat reasonable time. And Biden says, well, a strike would sure help. Let's do that. And so this strike is going to happen. They're expecting it to begin tomorrow, between tomorrow and Friday. This is going to be bad, folks. Just from the guys I talked to, everybody's pretty concerned about this. And now UPS is also threatening to go strike. And that doesn't sound like an internal issue with UPS and the union. It sounds like another political motivation, maybe being pressured to do it. These UPS drivers that deliver your package to your door are 40 and some of them are $50 an hour jobs. Working out of California, they're making more, of course, out there.
Wow.
These guys are not complaining about money. They're not complaining about the work because they're still getting to work 6 days a week. They're working all the time. There's plenty of freight moving. I mean, it's keeping them busy enough. So they're not getting their hours cut back. They're not getting their money pulled back. There's no reason for them to go on strike. Their benefits are some of the best in the country. You want really good benefits and a badass paycheck, go work for UPS or FedEx. Even the third-party contractors are doing well. And I know a lot of these guys personally. I've talked to them. So what it looks like right now is that Biden and the administration is going to push a strike, blame the union. The union's going to be okay with that because their holy leader in Washington, D.C. wants them to, of course, do the loyal thing, do the patriotic thing, follow the lead of the potato in charge.
Not right now.
So let's not be fooled by this. Let's pay attention and not ignore this. What rail means by shutdown. Amtrak's already said that they're going to stop all long-distance transport. Amtrak is also shutting down some of their hubs in the Midwest. Union Pacific and these other rails, from what I understand yesterday, locked out their biggest customers. They did lockouts on them, meaning they're not going to ship for them. They're not accepting new freight. So, and hopefully some of the guys that I asked to just come on and kind of be observers here on our show tonight, maybe one or two of them will call in and we can talk to them. And kind of get some more information on that, what's happened in the last 24 hours. But this is an hour by hour deal. This is not, let's see what happens next week or next month. So what this means for the grocery stores and the shelves is they're going to get thinner and they're going to get thin quickly. A lot of freight moves by rail. We all know this. More freight moves by truck a lot faster. But right now we're looking at diesel prices not dropping. Diesel prices are hovering where they were when they peaked. And a lot of these trucking companies, a lot of these smaller trucking companies with 2 or 4 or 6 trucks, 10 trucks, 20 trucks, they're not hanging in there. They're breaking even. They're not even making any kind of profit. And that profit margin that they need to meet, that minimum they need to meet each week and each month and each quarter, helps pay for equipment, repairs, maintenance, costs on tires, not to mention the fuel. And even with the fuel excise tax being raised by Biden because, he wants to push the Green New Deal. And now they're talking about the fuel surcharge going away for some of these companies and the freight they're hauling because of the cost of the commodities. We got materials for building and construction are going through the roof again. With rail, I mean, that's all your timber, your wood, a lot of your raw material products, your metals, your coals and things like that. If rail shuts down and we can't get a load of coal to a power plant, folks, or a load of 250 tankers over here full of crude oil to this refinery. This is almost as bad, in my opinion, with rail shutting down. This is almost as critically bad as seeing the truck drivers go on strike. If truckers in this country went on strike, the United States would stop moving within 3 days. With rail, it may take a little bit longer, maybe a week. But this is a serious problem, guys. And I'm not trying to scare anybody. That's not my point. That's not what I want to do. I want to impress upon you how important it is right now. And I'm not sending up any flags that you need to go buy everything you can get your hands on in Walmart and Sam's and Costco. But right now, you really do need to probably get down there and buy the major things you need to have in your home. Those materials, those supplies, those goods that you need to have at home, toilet paper, rice, beans, food, water. Stock up on these things and be doing it already, because right now with a rail strike, following that rail strike, we'll open the door for a trucker strike. And because these truck drivers are not going to go to some foreign city they don't live in, away from their families, park their truck and sit there for a month waiting for a strike to end so they can get a load off a rail and haul their freight to get back home. These guys are going to be pissed. They're going to walk away from their trucks and they're going to go, screw you, I'm done. If they can't make that payment, that, pay that note at the end of every week. And these truck drivers, they don't make a monthly truck payment. They make a weekly truck payment.
Mm-hmm.
And if they can't make that weekly truck payment, what's the point of staying there when they can go home and jump on a paint crew or a construction crew or a carpentry crew, or even just go work in a local mine that may be still hiring or looking for help? Of course, that'll all eventually go away too. But why sit in a truck for a month and not see your family and not get paid?
No.
And not be able to pay any of your bills on top of it? Personally, I did experience that. I drove truck for a while. I did a DOD contract, dedicated Department of Defense. And I'd go to a military base and I'd sit there for 2, 3, 4 days sometimes waiting for something to happen, waiting for them to need me to move something. But in most of those cases, I was making enough money. I was compensated as well that I could pay my bills. So it wasn't a big deal. I just had to sit on base and couldn't go anywhere. I just had to sit there. So I've kind of been in these guys' shoes. I understand the danger of this and the threat. And right now at my desk sitting here, and the information that I've been coming across all day long while I've been out running errands and sitting here working on this, I'm nervous. And it takes a lot to get me going. It takes a lot to really scare me into thinking, you know what, maybe I need to rethink some of my own bills and my own plans and my own, security here. Because this could go bad overnight. 7 days, 8, 10 days, maybe on rail, 3 days, definitely 3 days in the trucking world. But if we can't keep the grid up, we can't get that coal and that crude oil and that propane and those things to those places they need it to keep our grid going.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you might as well just turn off the lights right now and just say, screw it, turn off your computer, go to bed, and hope you wake up tomorrow and the sun's still shining. This is not good. Where it concerns our military and our domestic front right now is our ability to even defend ourselves as a country. We're being invaded at the border. They're pouring enough fentanyl in here to kill the entire population of the planet. Most people won't admit that. Well, it'll kill every American, or it may kill this many Americans. Right now, there's enough fentanyl on the street in the United States to kill the entire population of the planet. That's the truth. And that's a problem. That's a huge problem. I can go on and on and on and on all night long about other things that are happening right now. I apologize for the black screen there, guys. I can go on and on all night about this, about what we're facing and what's to come, what may happen. And it looks like we might have went down. Maybe not. Let me check. Nope. There we go. Let's talk about Mike Lindell and the rest of these folks, the 35. I did post some of the names in the Discord server of the people that were, involved with the Trump administration at whatever level they were involved in at. Doesn't matter. I believe the explanations were in with the names of the people that were visited, subpoenaed, or even had things seized from them. This is an FBI out of control, guys. And there's a lot of pushback in the agencies. I do know for a fact that there's a lot of people in the agencies that are still proud to be American, and they're even proud to be in the FBI and go out and work the street and serve their country and get bad people off the street and keep them from hurting people. And they are pushing back. How hard they are pushing back, I don't know, but it's not going to change the leadership and the problem at the top. That's not going to. So, I guess it says here, breaking FBI seized phone to Mike Lindell in the course of a search warrant. That's a problem.
Yeah.
Mike Lindell is pretty outspoken. He's very verbal. I appreciate the knowledge that comes from the man, because I'm able to listen to the guy. It's hard to listen to him sometimes, but I listen to what he's saying, because what he's talking about, he's gone and he's done his research. This guy has actually done the footwork. He's beat the pavement.
No.
They're going after him, and they're going to use money as the excuse. Will you help Trump raise money for the January 6th, or the all these trials that happened with all these court cases against the election being fraudulent and blah blah blah? But that's not the real reason why they're going after him. They're going after him to shut him up, because he's one of those guys that's very outspoken, and he's got a big audience. Steve Bannon has a big audience, and that's why they're going after him. I guess they dropped a new indictment down on Bannon today.
Jeez.
So there's a lot of things happening. It's hard to keep up with it all. I mean, I used to spend 16 hours a day doing this, just watching the net and doing my other work while I'm watching it. And it's gotten to the point where, like Intrepid said, we're going to have, at what point do we stand up and say, all right, that's it, we're done. We're not going to do this. And we're not going to tolerate our leadership acting out the way they're acting out. They are literally going to destroy our country from the inside out. I posted a video up in the Discord server of the IRS agents being trained and how they're being trained and wearing their cool little body armor vests, and it says IRS CID, and they're running around looking like, they probably should have got a job at Walmart, not the IRS, and that damn sure probably shouldn't be carrying a gun. Most of these people look scared to death while they were holding a fake gun, for that matter.
That was the IRS.
What's that?
That was the IRS. I thought it was the Keystone Cops.
Oh, well, same thing, right? We got our Keystones. I'm not going to get into Pennsylvania. I'm not going to get into that subject tonight. This Fetterman guy is a nightmare walking. This guy would walk up to President Xi and President Putin and kiss their fucking red commie asses and be more than happy to do it. So, yeah, I'm not going to go touch on that one tonight. The guy had a stroke. He could barely speak. He's also not cognitively all there any more than Biden is, but yet they're going to still push this guy. Now, what does a real man do? A real man says, look, I'm screwed up. My thinking's wrong. I can't even find my way off the stage I just walked onto. My head is in my ass right now. Hey, maybe I should step down. That would be the responsible adult thing to do, is step away and let another adult come in the room and take over. Maybe put somebody else in charge for a little while. But these people can't do that. They don't have that personality. All they care about is power. And that's what they want to project on all of us, is they're now going to be in a position of power over us. But it should be okay, because these people are working class. Biden's never had a real job. Fetterman's never had a real job. None of these, but they can wear a Carhartt sweatshirt and tell you that they're all for the working class and the union. These people have never gone out and gotten calluses on their hands, blisters on their feet, knees hurt and killing them. Just like I said the other day, me and a buddy of mine went and did the 110 floor stair climb for the 9/11 memorial stair climb event. These guys, I didn't see Biden there. I didn't see any local politicians there. I didn't see a mayor there. I didn't see a councilwoman or councilman. I didn't see what they used to call an alderman. I didn't see anybody from the county commissioners there. All I saw were the guys and the girls out that actually do the job every day. The firefighters, the deputies, the police officers. I saw them there. But none of the leadership goes up for those things. That's because these people wouldn't make it up the first flight of stairs without falling over on their fat asses, because that's who they are. They've never had a real job. They've never actually had to physically go out and do anything.
Yeah.
So what now? The rail situation is extremely dangerous, guys, and they're expecting this strike to kick off in the next 48 hours. I don't have any specifics on it. I've dug a little bit, and I've got people that have also been digging as much as they can, and it's a matter of a phone call is going to happen. And when that phone call happens, these union delegates are going to get told to go grab their people, and that's it, pull everybody off. That could mean these trains will stop dead center in the middle of their tracks. Amtrak may be pulling back their long distance transit because they won't be able to access the rails, because the freight trains are going to maybe possibly get shut down right in the middle of the rail stream, the grid. So we don't know how that's going to work out. Maybe a lot of these engineers and these train, operators understand how stupid that would be. So maybe they'll run their train the rest of the way into a pull off or a wayside to get it out of the way. And maybe a lot of these train engineers will say, screw you, we're not stopping. We're going to work. And, you know, it's time the union gets its head out of its ass. We don't know what's going to happen. And I don't suspect the guys that I'm talking to are going to tell me what their plan is, because obviously they would be giving me too much information. And if it's on an unsecure line, that could cause their family a lot of grief. And I ask them, don't tell me what your plan is, but tell me what plans are out there that guys are thinking about. Tell me what you guys are thinking. But don't tell me what your plan is, because we don't want to compromise your position at your job. I mean, I don't want anybody getting hurt. But in this country, patriots are going to have to stand up and take the reins and take control. That means the oil field guys are going to have to say, screw you, we're going to go drill a hole. That means the guys at the ports are going to have to say, screw you, we're going to unload a ship. The rail engineers are going to have to stand up and say, look, this train has goods on it, perishable foods and items and materials. Can't be left out on the side of a rail in the middle of some Midwest state where it can be robbed. We're going to go ahead and we're going to keep driving. That's what patriots in this country have to do, and be prepared. Be prepared for the whirlwind of doing that. Be prepared to get hammered if you decide to make that step. Somebody came to me and the guys I know, and they told us tomorrow, shut it down, you're done. That's not going to happen. It's not. I was actually talking to some guys, and Dan Bongino kind of going through some of the ways he says things and some of the pullback that he's had to do lately. Look, Dan Bongino doesn't want his family's door knocked on any more than the rest of us guys. So for the folks out there that are really coming down hard on Dan right now, ease up a little bit. He's saying what he has to say. He's pulling back where he needs to pull back. He's keeping it real, but try and read between the lines. It's a lot like Monkey. Monkey gets on, does his production. He's not going to give you all the cookies. He might only give you the package. You're going to have to figure out what the cookies are inside that package. Open the package and find the cookies. You're going to have to read between the lines. Some of the stuff that we're going to throw out at you is the same way. I'm not going to tell you exactly where something happened or how it happened or who answered the phone when that phone call was made. But I'm going to get to it in a way that if you're one of the smart folks out there, you're going to figure out who it was real quick just by listening to the way we present this information. Just keep your ears on and pay attention and be patient. None of us want to get our door knocked on. It's not something that's not a good day for anybody. And these cops are going to keep doing what their bosses are telling them to do, because their bosses are going to keep doing what their bosses are telling them to do. And what's Dan Bongino's favorite phrase? Number one rule: don't get dead. Cops knocking on your door, that could get you dead. So don't do that. Avoid it. Don't say something stupid on the internet. Be careful when you text and you respond and you message and you leave comments, and just be smart, guys. I got a couple of dirty comments of people making some real stupid remarks in the YouTube world, and I had to get on them and be like, what are you doing? Are you trying to go to jail today? Is that what you want? And I really came down hard on them, and they just needed that reality. They needed that heart check. So I'm heart checking you all right now. I'm going to let Intrepid take over from here, kind of with the market watch and the things going on there. I'm going to step away from my desk. There's something that's come up I need to go handle. I'll only be gone a few minutes. But I'm going to let Intrepid take it from here, and him and Zulu can kind of figure out what's going on with this Dow Jones deal.
Hey, while you're away, can you check your text messages?
Yes, I will. I've got probably 100 of them waiting on me. So
Okay.
I will be back here shortly, guys.
I only care about 2 of them.
All right, roger that.
Oh boy. Well, Zulu, why don't you go ahead?
Well, I don't know what to say. What should we talk about? Did he want to talk about the markets? It looks to me like everything's down.
Well, I got a few things I'll talk about. I was hoping he'd be online, but I posted it anyway. So,
Yeah.
The backdrop is, it's kind of ironic, is, of course, 9/11 was Sunday. And after 9/11, of course, we instituted the Patriot Act, which gave the government the ability to surveil bad guys. Well, it's that same Patriot Act that today the government's using to surveil on patriots. And it was the Republicans, unfortunately, that created that. And now they're the ones who are getting surveilled against. So talk about irony. It was a bad deal then, and it's still a bad deal
Did
now.
Obama change that act? I seem to remember he did something to it, didn't he?
And whatever he did, I'm sure was a disaster. But,
I'm sure it was too.
yeah.
Hey, I was going to ask if anybody else heard that there was some like assassination attempt on Putin earlier tonight, but
I haven't heard that.
he got away though.
Yeah. Well, how do I say this politically correct? Years ago I was in Russia. I actually enjoyed Russia.
Yeah.
Putin is a diehard nationalist. So I'm not suggesting he's Zelensky's not an altar boy. Putin's not the devil.
None of them are.
Some of the things that are going on, I think, shed a completely different light on that whole Ukraine-Russia thing.
Right. Yep.
So
yep.
One thing I posted earlier today on Discord underneath their financial section was a 4-page leaked document written by the RAND Corporation that came out in January of 2022. Now, January, of course, predated the invasion of Russia into Ukraine. And what the RAND Corporation was saying, interestingly, that document went to the White House, it went to the CIA, the Homeland Security, and the Democratic Party. Funny, it never got to the Republican Party. But what this document talks about is if we can destroy Germany, the German economy, by pushing a German/NATO war with Russia, so goes Europe. And of course, as of today, the euro is now trading below the US dollar.
Yeah.
But the German economy, of course, was always based on two things: oil and gas from Russia, and cheap electricity from France. Neither one of those things are happening right now, especially vis-a-vis these quote-unquote sanctions against Russia. The result is the German economy is collapsing right now. And as the German economy collapses, so goes the rest of Europe.
Right.
And I found that to be particularly interesting because, if we're trying to maintain our standing in the world, what better way to do it than to collapse Europe, beat Russia, and of course, the Chinese economy is likewise collapsing. So,
they defaulted on their.
Oh, sure they did.
Their banks are just upside down, but they don't care.
But when you, in light of this information, I'm beginning to think this whole damn thing was orchestrated. This
of course it is
for us to maintain the supremacy of the dollar at all costs by collapsing all these other governments.
It's called the Great Reset.
I think, well, even that, the Great Reset is a European thing. I think this is more the United States reset. I think
the whole thing is global. I mean, if you look at it, it's not just the U.S. that's collapsing; it's everywhere. It's global.
The U.S. is collapsing as bad as the rest. That's the point. If you read this document from RAND, I read that as this whole thing was created. It was another CIA created war.
Yep.
And unfortunately, millions of people are going to die. And we use this bullshit about climate change and the Green Deal. It's all a red herring.
Yeah, and Bill Gates just flew into whatever meeting next on his big old jet. I mean, come on.
Again, Putin for years told the West what his line in the sand was. And Biden and Harris walk right over that. And who is getting hurt the most?
We are.
No, it's actually Europe. Europeans are going to be in a real tough place. The Russians can't win because their PR is so bad. What are they going to do? We keep arming Ukraine. The Russians may, in fact, be forced to strike back with some kind of limited nuclear war. It's a no-win situation. And
Biden can't stuff enough dollars over there in Ukraine's pocket fast enough.
Yeah, well, again, I don't think that that's the real issue. I think it's more nefarious than that. I think that we have created this war, despite all this stuff about how holy we are in the United States. I think we did this to them. I think we screwed Russia, we screwed Ukraine, and we're screwing Europe. And China has always been a basket case. So what can I say?
Right.
The other thing that I've been toying with, just as a data point, I find this kind of interesting, is Biden's Executive Order 14067. 14067. And it was signed on March 9, 2022. And paragraphs in Section 4 of Executive Order 14067 basically gives the government legal local surveillance of all U.S. citizens vis-a-vis the Patriot Act. It takes total control of your banking accounts, and it uses the ability to silence all dissenting voices. It creates what's colloquially known today as Biden bucks. It is called the Ensuring Responsible Development of Digital Assets Law. It's ridiculous.
Wow.
You know, people don't know that.
One thing after the other.
Well, look it up. On March 29, Democrat Stephen Lynch introduced H.R. House Bill 7231, the Electronic Currency and Secure Hardware Act. It orders the Secretary of the Treasury to develop a digital dollar. Now, in case you don't think that's ever happened before, I can go back to, the Executive Order Gold Reserve Act of 1934, which on April 5, 1933, required all persons required to deliver on or before May 1st, 1933, all gold coin, gold bullion, and gold certificates now owned by them to a Federal Reserve Bank. That was the law in 1933. Everybody that did not do that in 1933 were either imprisoned, their assets stolen, or fined. So here we come now. Biden has got this Biden bucks that's coming out under Executive Order 14067. And don't be surprised if he says, hey, you got to turn in your dollars and go to Biden bucks. It's happened before. We may say, oh, no, not this time. Well, guess what? I don't trust these people. And interestingly, just about 3 hours ago on Scopes online, they said, oh, no. This Executive Order 14067 does not actually say that you have to give up your dollars. Yeah, like I'm going to listen to anything the government says. But just think about that. You know, if everything goes to digital currency, you know, I could see Merrick Garland saying, yeah, we have your voting records. We know you voted for Trump. And if you did, we're going to disable your Biden bucks. You can't have any assets. I mean, that is the next step. China's already done that. They actually have a yuan that they introduced during the Olympics. The only country, oddly enough, that isn't doing that is Russia. The arch enemy, Putin. Oh, hiss, hiss, boo. You know, he's dead against all this stuff. So I don't know. You know, again, another data point. I don't really know enough about it yet, but I am watching it. But if that, in fact, is the case between that Rand corporation that talked about how to destroy Germany and Europe in January by getting Germany in a proxy war with Russia, and now this Biden bucks that's coming out, it's pretty sad. I will say this: you need to get off currency. Have things that you can barter. I'm not. I agree with Abraham that the supply chain is getting bad, but in addition to just getting beans and bullets, or whatever you want to call it, have things that you could barter with other people. You know, if I listen to everything that's happening today and what Abraham was talking about with the strike and the railroad, it's all over money. So imagine what you could do if you didn't have to worry about money, i.e. bartering. And as I said multiple times, imagine what we could do if people decided, as an example, to go on a 1 month mortgage holiday and say, sorry, bank, we're not going to pay you this month. We don't have it. You know, we have to confront this. This is becoming a lot more nefarious and a lot scary than I ever thought. And I think it goes well beyond the obvious of Ukraine versus Russia and US versus China. This is an orchestrated evil that's happening upon the world right now. All right, I'll shut up for a while. Zulu, what do you have to add?
Well, I just wanted to say, I don't know, I think there's, like you were saying, there's a lot of nefarious things going on, and it's all definitely by design, by plan, you know. I know last time we were on, Abraham had I think there was a worksheet he showed, kind of like some sort of a chart that showed all of the, I don't know if he still has it, he can put it up, but it just shows all the different pieces of the plan and what they're all trying to do. And I don't know, maybe that's conspiracy, maybe not, but it looks to me like they're doing a lot of it. So,
Yeah, but
there isn't anything they won't do, is what I think.
They want control, and in my mind, they're able to do that because we act predictably, which is why I'm saying don't be so predictable. Get away from money. Try other ways to exchange goods and services. Old-fashioned bartering. They can't control that.
And the other thing to think about too on this transportation thing, we talk about the ships and that, and then the trucks, but the aircraft fly a lot of freight too. So I wouldn't be surprised if they try to shut that down.
Oh, well, they do. But again, if you can barter, if you know your local community, why the heck do you need to buy beef from Brazil and beef from Mexico? That's where most.
That's Japan, isn't that Kobe beef from Japan?
No, that's oddly enough, most of the beef we have in the United States right now comes from Mexico and Brazil, not from the United States. If you could go down, if you know a rancher down the road, you don't need to care about rail strikes and shipping issues. You go down to your neighbor, say, "Hey,
that's right.
I've got
half a beef in the freezer." Yeah,
beef. Yeah, well, the freezer.
They put a pig in the freezer and a half a beef and whatever.
The freezer only works as long as you have electricity to do it.
Right.
About all these things.
Need a generator now. Yep.
And that may not work either. I mean, we are literally, I think, going back to what our grandparents did in the turn of the 19th century, the 20th century.
You're right. Exactly.
So all the stuff that we have, oh, gee, I'll go to an ATM, I'll get on my cell phone.
Yeah, that's going to be gone.
Freezer. None of this is going to happen. And God help us, I know people like, well, I'm going to take my money out of high assets in the stock market and have cash. Well, what's going to happen if they say you can't have cash anymore, people? You got to put it bring it to your bank for your Biden bucks. All bets are off. You got to think that this may happen. And I do think it's going to happen. Absolute worst case scenario. So while we're all focused on, look over here, Ukraine and Russia, they're doing all this other crap that is going to completely destroy how we live.
Right.
Anyways, Abraham, I'm on my soapbox. Maybe you should take over a bit.
No, I like it when you're on your soapbox.
Let's talk about the immigrants.
Well, let me cover the chart. I got the World
Thank you. That's the one I wanted. Yeah.
That's the flow chart from the World Economic Forum. And
thank you.
What this chart represents is what is going to happen. And we'll start in the very outside edge of this whole entire flow chart. I'll just kind of go through and read some of this. And I'm going to go through it slowly so we can kind of absorb it. We'll start at the top, data fraud and theft. India, they run their data and fraud call centers over there like they're normal businesses, and their law enforcement in India does very little to stop it. And who are they calling? Europe and the United States, and they're talking to grandma and grandpa and trying to get them to go down and get a Western Union at the local Walgreens and send them $1,000 or $5,000. And that happens every day. It's very sad to see that, because a lot of these people, they're being talked into maybe feeling sorry for and helping somebody. And so they think they're doing a good thing when in fact they're not doing anything but giving a scam artist all their money. Some of these people are dropping a lot of money on these guys, and it's heartbreaking to see it. So we want to always encourage, educate, and continue that communication with our elders in our neighborhood and our communities, and just, kind of let them know when you're on your cell phone, don't fall for this. Don't be a victim of this. This is what they're doing. There's even videos out there that you can put on your laptop and show your family member or your elderly neighbor. Don't let them be a victim. The next thing on here, critical information infrastructure breakdown. Well, we got leaks. We got corporations that can't keep, any of their private, classified, or confidential information in their company computers secure because there's hackers out there getting it all.
Mhm.
Below that, we got cyber attacks. As a result of those, we'll go from right to left. Liquidity crisis means, absolute owned real property values. Decline of importance of the U.S. dollar. We're seeing that right now.
Mhm.
The U.S. dollar, the petrodollar, is going away quickly. One of the reasons why Xi and Putin met this week and are meeting is to discuss their new currency, stronghold over the planet. We'll continue going around. Oil price shock. Well, we've seen that just in the last 2 years with this guy. Economic and resource nationalization. Maybe you could explain that one there, Intrepid. Economic and resource nationalization.
Well, they don't want it.
I think they maybe put that in there intentionally, and they didn't really explain what they meant by that. Is there a breakdown of the economic and resource nationalization? As a nationalist, we want to have our resources. We want to utilize our resources, and we want to keep a strong economy doing that.
I don't think that they want it. The World Economic Forum does not want that.
No, they want all the gold in Africa and all the oil in the United States to belong to the rest of the world too.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, the only country, well, Hungary as well, but Russia is definitely against globalism. And look at what we're doing to Putin. I mean, I'm not saying, again, he's not an altar boy, but you listen to the news media and he's the cause of all the problems in the universe. He's not. He's saying, what is wrong with being nationalists? And I agree. There's nothing wrong with being nationalists.
Not
This
at all.
globalism crap is going to destroy the world.
Yep. So we're moving on. Chronic diseases, antibiotic resistant bacteria, pandemics. Well, we've seen that. I guess I'll touch a little bit on the vax. And well, what we're seeing is a bunch of coroners and embalmers coming out publicly reporting to the news media. They're pulling blood clots from these bodies that come into them that are as big as a football. Some of them, they're pulling these blood clots out of these bodies that are sometimes strung along for several feet. And it's turning out, because they're able to look at the medical records. These people are able to access information or ask questions of others, like Palmer will ask the coroner. Yeah, this is a vax person. Yes, this is a vax person. No, this one didn't get the vax. Well, his body's normal. So we're seeing that. We're seeing that this emergency warp speed vaccination plan was obviously twisted from the beginning, and it was all part of this. You'd have to be blind not to see that. Do your research.
Two quick things on that. First of all, the diseases. I'm going to try to get a friend of mine to come on to talk about a lot of the newer antibiotic resistant flesh eating diseases that are hitting the rest of the world. Actually, this country as well. It's unbelievable. And as far as the vax, oh my God, I don't know where to start. I'll mention two things I mentioned previously. Number one, the leading cause of death right now in the United States is, quote unquote, other causes. Not heart disease, not cancer, not any of this stuff, other causes. And it's begun to spike about 12 months ago. I wonder what happened about 12 months ago. And as far as the vax, as well, as I've mentioned in earlier podcasts, interestingly, right now, a lot of the major insurance companies are suing the vaccine manufacturers for all the losses they're incurring for having to pay for all these deaths due to other causes. But now, to prevent the insurance companies from paying, they've found a loophole. And the loophole is most of these COVID vaccines are not, they're experimental. And the loophole to insurance is, we don't have to pay if you're on an experimental vaccine. So good luck trying to get the insurance company to pay anything if they can prove that, oh, they got the experimental vax. That makes their insurance null and void. Sorry. It's ridiculous. Anyways, go on and Abraham.
So these are color coded in this chart. And I'm kind of I went through the purple, which was the data, fraud, theft, cyber attacks, critical information, infrastructure breakdown. Next part of that was liquidity, real property, the US dollar, mostly the financial, the oil price, and the shock that we saw, and the stock shock that's coming. The futures of the oil from 6 months ago, when we saw this huge increase in oil prices, 6 months ago, you buy your oil 6 months in advance, called oil futures, purchasing futures. And what we're going to see is right now what we're experiencing is 6 months ago release of the Federal Reserve, or the Strategic Reserve, and the lowering of prices. You know, what little bit this administration did to supposedly help lower the price of oil and gas, and they didn't do a lot. So now that's what we're kind of going through right now. We're seeing that wave where we're at the bottom of that price. It's getting ready to go back up. It always does around the holidays, even when the price is great, even when the markets are stable. We see that dip and we see that rise, and right around the holiday season, it goes up. That's when people are traveling. That's when there's a lot more aircraft flying, burning up that fuel. So the demand goes up, the cost goes up. That's how that works. So what we're going to see this time around, I project over the next 3 to 4 months, over this winter, going into winter, into next year, we're going to see we're going to see that $7, $8, maybe $9 diesel. And I speak diesel because I'm more in the diesel world than I am the gas. So I don't pay as much attention to the unleaded fuels. I'm more on the diesel side, and it's killing me. I mean, honestly, guys, I'm not going out every other day fueling my rig. I can promise you that. I'm trying to make do with what I got and stretch it out as much as possible. And it's terrible because I like to get out and go do things. I'm that get out and go do things guy. I like to be out in nature, in the wilderness, in the backcountry. I like to go on long drives, just listening to my music, take my dog with me. Right now, I'm not doing any of that. I'm almost locked down where I can go 2 miles to my gym, 3 or 4 miles to the store, maybe 5 or 6 miles to go do work with my buddy who I'm working with not every day, but I'm working with him. And it sucks because on the weekend, I want to go up to the lake. I want to go do a lake swim, or I want to go out with my buddies and do a ruck and do a cross country ruck. Even I'm feeling that fuel is just making those things impossible for me anymore. And again, like these guys said, this is all being done by design. So let's just give you a little insight into my world and how fuel's affecting me. And I'm sure everyone's got a story on gas prices, and it's heartbreaking. So we go into the next color, and that's into the orange and the reds. Weapons of mass destruction, mismanaged urbanization. We go up here to extreme weather events, natural catastrophes. We're seeing massive global flooding events all over the world. And where we're not seeing that, we're seeing drought events, major droughts. California, there is no rice coming out of California this year. They are done. Avocados in Mexico, avocados in Southern California, that were the avocados that you can get are last year's, and the quality is so terrible. They've been sitting in cold storage that when you get it off the shelf at the grocery store, it's going to last you maybe a day before that.
I'll barter with you. I have avocados.
Yeah, how many days do they last, and how fresh are they after a day or two?
No, they're good.
Well, that sucks. Yeah. You need to send me some of them.
It's the end of the avocado.
It's like my go-to fitness, healthy fat food, you know?
Okay.
So
they're good.
I don't know what Mexico's going to do without guacamole. That will end their tourist industry.
Or salsa. I mean, what do you do now?
Tequila.
We're going to see. It's
that's something we haven't thought about. What about the alcohol? We're going to need it.
I'm not even going to go there, but right here on this on this RSS feed that TNS is up. He speaks about, well, he actually changed it, it looks like. I wish he still had it up. What it said is, summer's about to end, fall is coming, and winter is going to be here. Let it be your warning that we are going to experience, and it's not just these conspiracy types out there that are screaming and sounding the alarms, guys. You can go in your grocery store and ask your Walmart employees, what do the trucks look like? Are you guys still getting full trucks, or how's things look coming in every time you guys unload a truck? And they just look at you and go, oh, I don't know, and walk away. They're not allowed to talk to you. These corporations are hiding this crap. I don't know why, but they threaten their employees they can't talk to you about things. You go to your smaller grocery stores, they'll talk to you. They'll tell you the truth. They'll be like, yeah, our truck, we only got half a truck this week. And I took pictures and I walked through the Walmarts and all the Albertsons and things like that. And I'm looking at these things and I'm going, I'll be damned. Certain things are just a year ago we were short on, and it hasn't gotten better. And usually you see an ebb and a flow in commodities. Peanut butter, for example. Peanut butter was real slim pickings 4 months ago when they had the salmonella, concern with the peanut butter. They had to pull a lot of it off the shelf. Well, they pulled it off the shelf. It's been almost 5 months later. We should start seeing that peanut butter coming back nice and strong, but we're not. You're not going to go to the store right now and get, depending on what part of the United States you're in, what region, you're not going to go get the peanut butter you want. You're going to go get what they have with what's available. That brings me back. I guess I'll segue into the food production plants all over the United States. S2 has kind of gone offline for a little bit. They're planning a move, and let this also be kind of that notice that you need to maybe think about getting away from the coastline if you're near one. S2 is leaving the Beltway. They're getting the hell out of Dodge where they're at on the East Coast. I already did it last year. Everybody's moving out here to the middle, and they're now making their move. So they haven't been on. They haven't done any intel updates or any sit reps as of late, and it's completely understandable. They're really working hard on getting this location that they want to be able to set up, their security and put that comfort in for their family where they're trying to get to. And it's not just them. It's not just the guys in the team. It's their families as well. They're all trying to get out of where they're at, and they're in the dragon's mouth, so to speak. Depending on where you're at in the country, you got local farmers that are bringing their produce and their product to these plants, and now the plants are burned down. A mysterious explosion at this factory, or not necessarily a factory, but a food production plant that makes potato chips or makes cornmeal or flour and sugar. But interestingly enough, guys, there's a lot of sugar production goes on in the Bay Area of California, and none of them have had a problem yet. The Bay Area seems to be doing pretty good with their food processing. Down in Los Angeles, their food processors down there in Yuma, Arizona, they're just not seeing these issues. What we're seeing is the Midwest being attacked, and in some parts of the East and the Northeast, where these
That's because that's where the conservatives live. That's why.
The what?
That's because the middle of the country is where most of the conservatives live. They're not going to do anything mostly to the coast because that's where a lot of more liberals and, well, I call them communists live.
Yep, that's correct. And but we're watching. So there's maps out there you guys can get a hold of. And if you're following S2 Underground on YouTube, or go over to Patreon and support their channel. I know it's been slim pickings, and people sometimes feel like, hey, I'm not getting what I'm paying for here. And Patreon's a very complicated animal. It really is. Unless you're doing a specific thing on it, not like what we do, it's very hard to keep that thing going. And that's the largest part of our income is the Patreon, and then the PayPal as well. That's why I have the Patreon up on the screen tonight, because I'd like everybody to go over there and get signed up. That helps us a lot. It keeps this thing going. That allows us to break away from our normal lives and our jobs and spend a little more extra time doing what we need to prepare these podcasts, these sit reps. But if you go and look at these maps that these guys are putting together, and they're putting out on the internet for the public. They're mapping out where all these locations are. And it's very difficult to do that because you have to really, really, really drill down into the local areas, local news media, small little rural areas to get the information because it's not going to the mainstream or the major cable networks. So when a potato chip factory in Idaho blows up and no one knows why, and the fire department has to spend the next year or 2 years investigating a cause of an explosion or fire they cannot explain, boom. That's not going to be on Fox News tonight, guys. Tucker's actually touched a little bit on it. Jesse Waters has. Sean Hannity's gone a little bit into it. Just to name 3 of them right there. But that was weeks and weeks ago, and that was one little small clip in their show between commercials. They're not covering it every day. Maybe they have people watching it every day, but they're just not going to put it out there. So you have to drill down, and you got to go get this information. Well, a lot of these teams, a lot of these intelligence groups, these small community of guys out there with backgrounds and knowledge and how to do these things, they're putting the maps out. And if you look at the maps, it's scary how these things are happening. And all of us kind of look at that and we go, that's a military operation. I can guarantee you that's a military organized type of operation that's happening. These are specific targets. They're being taken out in a strategic way, not in a pattern. It's unpatterned for that matter. And the way and the timing. We're looking at this going, this is how we plan operations. We don't want to make it obvious. We don't want the enemy to know what we're doing, but we got to hurt them. So we got to attack here, attack there, but we got to do it in a certain way. And we got to plan this out. And that's exactly what's happening. And when we look at these maps months and months later, as we're adding more to it, the picture just gets more clear every day. And it's not because that's what we want to see. It's because it's what's there on that map that we're looking at, that we're analyzing, going, look, this is so obvious, it's almost scary. It's almost pathetic because the general population has no idea, but they know that we're all out here and we're looking at it, and we know, we recognize what that looks like. We know what that is, but yet they're not trying to hide it. You know, and at some point they can't hide it anymore. So I will leave that with you guys. And I'll go back to this real quick to the flow chart, and we're going to kind of narrow this down. I'm just going to finish reading this. Natural catastrophes, extreme weather events, biodiversity loss and ecosystem collapse, man-made environmental catastrophes, failure of critical infrastructure, terrorist attack, corruption, organized crime and illicit trade. Let me throw human trafficking in there, since we're now seeing courts allow people to go out of jail with no bail after raping or abducting a child or exploiting a child, and they're being allowed to go back on the street just to do it all over again. Political and social instability. That's your Antifa and your BLMs and any other group out there. Tonight, for those that were on the Patreon, could go and view that live, I guess they call it a Zoom meeting, where they were discussing future plans on how to attack law enforcement at protests in a way to where they can control the street, and the cops will wind up basically retreating, running away from it, giving the street up, letting the criminals, the peaceful protesters, take over. You really got to listen carefully, because these kids are not stupid that are doing this shit. They're very smart. They know how to speak. They don't say things they're not supposed to wind up on a list or wind up with a door knock. And they're very good at hiding where they're at. They move around a lot. They got all the money they need to maintain that internet security, to hold these Zoom calls and do these things. And even some of them hide their identities so that they can't be found. Why they're doing that, the FBI's not out looking for them. I don't know why they're even wasting their time. The FBI will pay them to do it. At least the leadership level will. Guys on the street won't. So that's just some food for thought on that. Organized crime and illicit trade, political and social instability, income disparity. That's an obvious one. Food crisis, interstate conflict. We saw interstate conflict when states said, well, if you're in Pennsylvania, you can't go to Ohio because of the COVID lockdown. We saw some of that. We saw troopers being put out there doing checkpoints at state borders, state to state line. No, that's not okay. You can't do that. But these troopers, they're doing their job. They're doing what they're told to do. They went out there. They're all part of this experiment. They're all there to see if this whole COVID lockdown thing actually works so that they can build that playbook better and use it against us in the coming months and years. We see water crisis. Kamala Harris opened her big mouth and said the next war will be fought over water. That lady doesn't know what fucking war is. She hasn't even visited a war zone since she's been in office. Climate change. Well, that's always going to be there. I'm surprised that's not the one in the very middle. We are going through a global climate interruption right now. Call it a change if you want. We have a sun that goes through cycles. And the solar cycles that we're going through right now, those that want to follow suspicious observers, he breaks it down in layman's terms and explains it. This is another cycle. It's going to get hot, then it's going to get cold, and then we're going to be stable. He doesn't bring religion or politics into it, other than the politics at NASA that keeps lying and saying it's one way while he's saying this is the truth. And then 2 years later, they published a different paper, and I'll be damned. NASA is finally agreeing with what Ben said on that's the suspicious observers. And he's pointing it out. Oh, look, I called this 2 years ago. I called this 10 years ago. We knew this was coming. Now look at what NASA did. Now they're admitting it. He's not making any friends at NASA, I can tell you that. But there are a lot of good patriots that work in these agencies and these space programs that they're observers also, and they definitely feed the intel and help the general public kind of get a better eye on what's going on as far as the climate change thing that's happening. In the very middle of this flow chart is global governance failure. And that's what we're seeing with the Biden administration in Russia and China, Taiwan, every country in the world right now. Over in Africa, they're not allowed to use fertilizer. Up in Finland, they're not allowed to use fertilizer. Down in South and Central America, they're being encouraged to cut down more trees, even though the environmentalists that are telling them to do it are up here screaming at us if we want to go harvest trees for paper to wipe our ass with, but it's okay if they go cut down the entire rainforest in Brazil. That's fine. They're being allowed to do that. And what they mean by global governance failure is that all the governments that we have in all these nations, these newer industrialized modern nations like the United States and the UK, Germany, all over Europe and other parts of the world, they're collapsing from the inside. They're being intentionally collapsed. And the people that are there are okay with that. Germany's they're about to have the lights switched off in their country. They're getting ready to go through a very difficult time over there this winter. And their leadership's okay with that. They're perfectly okay with it. It's all part of the plan. You look at their leadership like ours, and many of them are graduates of the World Economic Forum. Monkey has preached it till he's blue in the face. This right here is where this is the source. This is the heartbeat of everything that's going on in this country. And these are not, as our friend Robert Burke, who's a guest here on occasion, will tell you guys, this has all been planned for decades, if not millennia, by certain families in Europe who helped found and build the central banking system to take it all down or have control over it until the time comes where it's time to do something different. And this is all part of that. It looks like only one leader in the world is actually starting to push back a little bit, and that's the president of France, Macron. And he's not a good guy either. He's a graduate of the World Economic Forum. I'm sure a lot of these people went to this thing thinking in the beginning, I'm going to get smarter, better, and more knowledgeable about economics and how things work in relation to other industrialized nations. And they come out of this thing thinking, wow, they just gave me the plan and told me I'm now a part of it. Here's your graduation certificate. Now go do what we tell you to do.
Well, that's
our leadership are the same sheep as the sheep that are following them. And I hope they all walk off a cliff. Go ahead, Intrepid. I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. I was just going to say that's one of the questions I still have about, and I like her, Tulsi Gabbard. She was a member at the World Economic Forum when she was a kid, and she's never really spoken about that, whether she rejects it outright or not. I don't know. Again, data point.
If you know who else was a graduate of the World Economic Forum, Trump's daughter.
Yeah, Ivanka.
Yeah.
Huh? Yeah.
That's disturbing.
Well, but
they also removed her from the graduation rolls. They don't acknowledge her ever attending now. They don't like her.
Good.
I'm sure she's real butthurt over that deal too. But look at the governor of California, Newsom. He's graduate of the World Economic Forum. Look at Trudeau in Canada, the president of Canada.
Yep.
The World Economic Forum.
All of them.
Oh, you mean Castro Jr., right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. The one thing with this chart has, as I look at it, again, vis-a-vis what I mentioned earlier, is it's all globalism. It's all big picture. I think the way to weather through this is to be local. If you weren't stuck on what your darn credit score is and being, how much money you have and investing like a gazillionaire, and you got to know the farmer across the road and the dentist up the hill and the doctor at the base of the mountain there, you probably do a lot better than a lot of these other people. You got to start thinking locally, community, friends. Forget all this other crap. Forget about the Kardashians and about how big your flat screen TV is. Get off of Facebook. Throw your cell phone away. Get away from all this crap. And they really don't have much control over you at that point.
They don't.
On you to be predictable. Oh, I want to get my credit score. I want to have 2 cars. I want a bigger house. Those are the people that are absolutely screwed right now. My opinion, anyways.
So what are our thoughts on Elon Musk and kind of where he fits in all this? Obviously, he's never been left or right. He's been right in the middle, and he goes where business makes sense and what makes money. So he's borrowed from the same government we've all borrowed from. He also paid every dime back, by the way. He doesn't owe them shit. They can't come after him for his money.
That's true. They couldn't go after Trump either, but at least Musk, unlike NASA, can get a rocket that fires into space.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, that's spot on there. That was pretty embarrassing for NASA, I'll tell you what. As much money as they take of our money.
Yep.
And they could have just easily called over to Starbucks Musk over there and asked him to send it up. But no. We got to make sure that NASA's still relevant or we don't get all that money. Our government is famous for one thing, if anything at all, because everything else that this country's ever done falls back. That credit goes to us, the American people. But our government is famous for this, and they can take full credit. You guys, if you need, I challenge any follower, any listener here, any of my guys, I challenge you to go find me a $900 toilet seat. It's half the size of the one I have and made of the exact same material. You might find a gold-plated one, but I don't want a gold-plated one. I want you to go find me a $900 toilet seat or a $5,000 hammer made exactly the same way as the one I bought at Walmart or Home Depot or whatever, True Value, whatever. Go find me a $900 toilet seat, and I will kiss your ass. In public, I'll do it on camera. Somehow the government can justify that, and somehow we accept it. Somehow we're okay with it.
We're too oblivious.
We keep paying our taxes to these idiots, so they can take that wallet of ours, our wallet, and dump it all over the world. They could send how many millions to Ukraine and billions to Ukraine, turn around and send how many billions down to El Salvador, Nicaragua, the Philippines. How many billions of dollars did Trump start saving us by saying, sorry, we're cutting you off no more? and this fucking jackwagon gets in there and opens it right back up.
Yep.
Well, again, I feel bad for the German people this coming winter, but then I also chuckle a little bit because Trump told them, I said,
Yep.
Your idea of relying on Russian oil and gas is going to get you in trouble. They laughed at him. So now they're going to collapse their economy. Oh boy.
So I guess my major concern right now is the rail situation. If I had to say, this is the thing that we need to pay attention to, but at the same time, don't take your focus off other things. Parallel your eyes and your mind and your thought processes. Make sure that you're going to multiply your, what we used to call force multiply. Force multiply your access and all your focus, and don't lose track of what Biden's doing. Don't lose track of the fact he flew over to Detroit and went to a car company today and or car show. Pay attention to the TFRs and the size and the dynamics behind that, what Monkey spoke about earlier. Don't lose sight of the drought and the effects it's having in the Midwest and the West Coast. Don't lose sight of the fires and the volcanic activity, and match that volcanic activity up with the activity of the solar cycle that's spaceweather.com right now. Be sure you're keeping eyes on all these things, guys. But right now, in the immediate future, if I had to put out a public service announcement and say, look, right now you need to pay attention to what happens in the next 24 to 48 hours and plan for the next 7 days. Right now, I say the rail strikes and the potential of UPS striking, followed by more than likely a FedEx strike and all the others. They're all going to fall in line. They're going to do what their corporate, sugar daddy? Corporate sugar daddies tell them to do. Be prepared to go to the store and grab your groceries and grab them quickly. A lot of people out here in the area that I'm at are already doing that. They're filling up grocery carts as often as they can get to the store and do it. And you know what? More power to them. Good for them. And I'm in an area, I'm going to just go ahead and say it. I'm in an area that is affected a lot later than the coastlines and the other more metropolitan areas. I'm in the middle of the United States in an area that is pretty close to a major metropolitan area. So we see a lot of that stuff that happens in the other cities. It comes here quickly. But when you go a little further south or a little further northeast or west of that major metro in the middle of the country, Denver, you don't see it as quickly. It takes a week, 2-3 weeks for that ebb and flow to reach us. So we don't see the immediate effects as quickly as others do across the nation. And that's a good thing because that gives us a little bit more time to get down there and get what we need. And that's one of the advantages of being where we're at and why I left the East Coast. And I was also before that on the West Coast. And guys, I've been watching this all kind of come together, and I've been putting the pieces together for the last 20 years. When Obama got in the White House, I knew that, it's game time. Got to put on your game face now because shit's about to get real. Yes, they drug it out over 3 different presidential terms, and now we're in the 4th. But things are happening so quickly now, it's almost like it's been given an adrenaline shot in the arm. It's coming, and it's coming fast. And when it finally goes and when it finally turns over, whether it's economic, whether it's our grid, infrastructure, whether it's a natural disaster event like our poles flipping or the solar activity spikes and our magnetic shield around the planet fails, no matter what it is, all these things are going to happen. And when they do, they're going to happen very quickly. One may trigger the other one. I'm not saying the government knows something none of us know, but they know things. And so when we watch their behavior and we analyze their activity, and when we're watching these fools like Nancy Pelosi on TV, watch her body language. It's easy to tell whether she's lying or not because she's always lying. But watch their body language. Watch to see if there's like almost a peak in their anxiety. When you see that anxiety go up, that's because something's about to happen. Something's close. Something's unstable. Something's insecure. And they know about it. They have that access. I don't know how the hell that lady ever got a clearance, but she's got that access. And because of that, because of her knowledge and knowing things, she will show some of that anxiety in her physical behaviors. Pay attention to this, guys. It's like they're showing us what they want us to see in one hand, and why the other hand's doing something else. Probably reaching over and giving a spoonful of oatmeal to the chin in the White House. But just watch their body language. Pay attention to, where's Biden going this week? Where's he flying to? We know where he's going to be every weekend. He's going to be at home. He doesn't spend the weekends in Washington, D.C., and it's interesting why he doesn't do that. Why does he go home? And now he's going to take out Amtrak. That's his favorite way to get home. Why is he going to take them out? Why is there this was just sent to me a while ago, and I have not had a chance to verify it, so I'm not going to say there's any truth behind this, but there was an A-864 Apache doing patrol, which is similar to combat air patrol, the caps that occur over D.C., but it looked like it was doing a patrol prior to Marine Corps One, the helicopter that carries the potato, for takeoff. Now we've got armed gunships flying around Washington, D.C. I guarantee you, as a citizen of the United States, and if I was a citizen of the District of Columbia and I lived in that city, that would bother me. And it should bother all of you. This is the most protected president that's ever been in the United States. Obama didn't have this level of protection over him. They feel like there is an indefinite threat against him in his life, or his administration in his office. Our military is obviously extremely concerned, or they're just following orders. But I can tell you, like I put in Discord, and I'm going to end the show with this. These pilots are going over there a lot of times for flight. They're getting tired. They're getting worn out. A lot of them are probably considering leaving the military because they're tired of it. The airframes on these aircraft, wear and tear. The more they're flying these F-22s and F-35s over D.C. protecting an idiot, the less they're going to be capable when the fight does come. And Intrepid may have something to add to it because he's a pilot.
No, I agree. I mean, the military can't keep. They don't have enough pilots right now.
We don't have enough oil to put in the aircraft to make them
That's
fly.
right. Yeah, and the maintenance is. I mean, even the little outfit I fly with right now. I mean, half their planes are down for maintenance, and part of the reason that's happening is they can't get parts. It's it's getting to be a real shit show.
And then you think about this: for every 1 hour the F-35 or the F-22's in flight, you're looking at 30 plus hours of maintenance and upkeep on that aircraft to get it to fly more. I mean, this plane can go up all day long and make 4 or 5 sorties, boom, 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 one after the other. But every one of those adds up to however many hours per 1 hour of flight. That plane is going to be down, grounded, because it needs all this stuff done to it just to get it to go up again. None of it's cheap. They can't get parts either. None of this ends well.
No.
None of this ends well.
Well, talk about
the manufacturing infrastructure in this country to tell China to go to hell. We just don't have it.
China's going to fall apart in its own, I think. But yeah, they're all hype. Anyway,
I wonder what Japan's going to do. I guess they're just going to keep making TVs and cars.
Well, Japan's just, they don't have they don't have enough population to keep that civilization going. Give it 2 more generations, there will not be any Japanese anymore. So
there wasn't, but what, a couple months ago they killed their former president. He was assassinated in the street.
Yeah, that's too bad.
And that was a good man, by all accounts. What I know of the man, he was a good leader.
Yep. But the Japanese people themselves, their birth rate is so low that they can't even sustain their own country anymore. So
that's too bad.
Yes,
I always wanted to visit Japan and spend a lot of time there. I'm talking like go to Japan and spend months and months there. Just learning their culture and learning a lot of the things that they're historically cultural for these people. They're an amazing people. Really, they are. They were our enemy at one time. They're not anymore. We dropped 2 big ass bombs on their ass, and that kind of ended that situation. But The Japanese people are very, very interesting, very, very traditional and very loyal.
Yeah, and let's not forget why they dropped the bomb on Pearl Harbor. Had to do something with energy and oil. So, yeah, we never learned that lesson.
No, we're going to keep making the same mistakes because our leadership continually finds the easy path out the door instead of the challenging one, and they keep failing us. That's the bottom line.
Now,
And they're going to keep failing us. And even if we take this country back and somehow we have a great revolution and America stands up and says, that's it, enough, we've had enough, we're taking this shit down. Boop, you're done, Biden. You're done, San Francisco. Piss off. You're going in the sea. Hope you know how to swim. We're taking over. 6 generations from now, we're going to have the same fight and the same problem and the same waste and the same mistakes. And right now they're trying to rewrite the history books. You can't rewrite history. You can only learn from it. And that's where every left-wing liberal extremist lunatic out there has got their entire moral compass off grid, is because they don't understand how that works. You're not allowed to rewrite history. It's already happened. You don't have a time machine. You can't go back and change it. All you can do is learn from it and do better. That's what's expected of us by our parents and our grandparents, is to do better than they did, be stronger than they were for our grandkids. But hell, the leftists, they don't even want kids. They'd rather just be, what is this, pan-gender, sexual, whatever the hell. I can't keep up. And now they don't even need kids. I guess they need robots.
yeah, well, the good part about that, just like they don't breed, they don't reproduce. So it might be.
I guess I got to give them credit where credit's due.
It's a one-generation thing. So anyway,
I can only pray and hope so. The Lord,
yeah.
If the Lord has a plan for us to continue on after this embarrassment, I hope it's a one-generation thing. I really do. I think they thought it was during Roman times. Unfortunately, it's returned and shown its ugly head. But that's the devil. That's evil. That's Satan doing what he does. That's whether you believe in God or not, or Satan or not, or the devil or whatever you want to call him. There is evil and there is righteousness. There is good and there is bad. There are predators and there are prey. Whether there's a heaven or a hell, at the end of the day, on the ground we walk, there are alphas, there are betas, and there are omegas. There are winners and there are losers. There are those that will eat a good meal tonight, and there are those that will be your good meal tonight. Find out where you want to be when that happens. Do you want to be sitting on a dinner plate or sitting at a dinner table? So I know that's kind of extra crispy, Intrepid, but I try to break things down a lot. I do this a lot, and it kind of probably embarrass myself doing it, and maybe even insult the intellectuals out there. But I do try to bring it down to the elementary level and thinking, man is not that complicated. Man makes things complicated. We are really a simple species, and yet we can somehow screw it up every time. And all the other species on the planet are the ones that pay that bill. So I do break it down and break it down very elementary, not because I'm trying to bring that across to our followers and our viewers here. Elementary. Hell, most of these folks have been to college and are super smart, probably a lot smarter than me. But I break it down to the elementary level because we may be at the elementary level if the nukes are launched and the birds are in the sky, folks. There may not be nothing left but a wasteland, and you may be eating mushrooms if they even survive it. That may be that moment in time where you think, God, it sure would be nice to be an infant child born into the 70s, growing up in the 80s. Boy, that might have been nice.
We'll be eating bugs.
Oh, they're already, I guess it came across the TNS net tonight that 1,000 schools in Australia are now feeding cricket snacks to their children because, well, they're healthy.
Yeah, right.
How many crickets does it take to equal half a hamburger's worth of protein?
Crickets. Oh my God.
Good old Australia. So the Australians, instead of standing up and saying, all right, that's it, we've had enough, you're getting bitch slapped, you're out of Sydney, you're no longer our president or our leader, you're done. They're just looking at their kids and going, ignore the idiots. Don't eat that shit at school. Come home and we'll feed you. They're being very complacent, being a colony that was founded as a colonial prison. You'd think they'd have a little more alpha down there ready to just kick some ass.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So
I have eaten crickets, though. They're not bad. Put a little chocolate powder on them. They're not too bad. That you get a cricket or some ants or some worms, and you get that MRE packet. That's the protein chocolate shake that you get in your MREs. Put a little of that powder on. They're not bad. I mean, they're edible.
Yeah.
It's not cheesecake and a steak, but it'll make a turd either way. So, all right, guys, it's been pretty close. We're pushing 11 minutes out from a 2-hour sit rep and discussion, and I don't know. I think this railroad thing is going to be a problem.
Well, and I would suggest people look up Executive Order 14067.
14067, absolutely.
All about Biden bucks.
Yeah, I think you're the one that sent me that link, and then I did post it in the server so others could see it.
Yeah.
But
otherwise, about the only thing I could suggest as was my mantra the last few years is to drink rum, because no good sailing story ever began with eating a salad. So there you go.
that's pretty elementary too. I like that.
That's right.
Goes along with KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. Every military man and woman in here knows what KISS is. All right, brother. Well, I think we're going to end it. Depending on how this situation unfolds, there may be some pop-up sit reps coming. Intrepid will probably be on a regular schedule, but I may pop up with some other ones as the days go by. Saturday, I'm definitely not going to be available unless it's Saturday evening. I'm not sure what we're doing at work yet, but I guess it's a lot bigger job. So I may be an all-dayer that day. May start out doing a ruck that morning too, so I may be pretty wasted Saturday. But we're definitely going to have our Sunday show no matter what. Tomorrow's Thursday. We may or may not be here. I don't know yet. We kind of missed Tuesday, and we're here on Wednesday. We'll see about Thursday or Friday. I'll let everybody know as the day progresses tomorrow and the next day. But Sunday, we're not going to miss Sunday. We're going to have a guest on again, and we're going to dig deeper into our biblical scripture. And I'd like to have more viewers on interacting on Sunday night. I'd like to get some of you guys in here to talk about the Bible because that's important. And it's not something that I want to look past or beyond and get too wrapped up in the worldly stuff that's happening. So, yeah, they would definitely do that. Sunday night is definitely a go. There may be some pop-up sit reps during the day. Just depends on how things unfold with the strike. If UPS decides they're going to go ahead and go forward with their strike. And there's also some concerns that have come up in the last few days about the grid. They're seeing a lot more brownouts in California over the last few days. I guess the Midwest is slowly creeping there as well. This rail is going to guarantee no more air conditioning the rest of the month. If it goes down and these trains aren't moving and hauling this coal or this natural gas or this oil, things are going to get real hard real fast. So let's all prepare for winter and plan for summer. Plan for next summer. Get your butts in the gym. Get your workout done. Get out there and ruck. I explained how that works. You just put on some weight on your back, a little heavy pack, not too heavy. Start out small, work your way up, and just get out there and run the road. Go out there and ruck. Go out there and get your exercise. You don't have to go lift and bench press 500 pounds of weight. Go in there and do what you can do. Try to keep yourself healthy. When you take a breath in, take a deeper breath in every time. Expand your lungs. Get out of your comfort zone. Don't take a nice hot shower when you're done with your workout. Jump in that ice cold water. It'll help, I promise. Try it one time. You'll never not believe me again after that. But get healthy. Go to work. Keep going to work every day. Keep your jobs. Don't quit and go home and hide under the bed. Keep going to work. That's what this country needs right now. Is it needs us to keep doing what we're doing every day. Go to work hard. Intrepid, make sure you fly upside down and have a whole lot of fun doing what you do. I wish I was having that much fun.
Yeah, well, you know it.
But I know some days are tougher than others, even doing what he does. So just keep going to work, guys. Keep hammering away and keep your chins up. I promised everybody something funny at the end of this, and I got to go down here and find it now that I lost it. But, you know what? I am going to end with this. I'd rather not, but I'm going to anyway. So there is a show on TV on HBO Max, I think. And I started watching. I don't know how many folks here follow the, here we go. Nope, that's not it. Give me a minute here and I'll find it. There's a show called Game of Thrones. I guess was real popular and a lot of folks really got into it. I could never sit through an episode. I just, the last several years, a lot of things happening in the world. So I never actually sat down and bothered with it. But there's a new second video story out called The House of the Dragon. It's part of the Game of Thrones trilogy. And it is of my opinion that this show is really, really pushing hard for child exploitation. So I would ask that those folks out there that have the stomach to go watch it. There's only 4 episodes out right now, a new one every week. It's the 2nd and 3rd episodes that came out. Actually, no, correction. The 1st and the 4th. You guys be the judge of what you think the message is in this. And then at the end of it, you can watch the producers and the director talk about the making of the film and why they did what they did and how the story is supposed to unfold and come across to us. To me, it is just an open door to more child exploitation and trying to normalize it. So those of you that have been here a minute know that TCG Global has for a long time been somewhat involved in the child trafficking investigative side, trying to hunt people down that do this shit. And so that came across. I did not expect it. All I heard about the show was there was an abortion that was terrible and it made all the left mad. So I wanted to go watch it. Started getting into it because of the dragons. I like dragons. And then I got to that 4th episode and it sealed the deal for me, what the show's all about, what message they're trying to get out. Again, they're not hiding it. So I promised I'd start putting the information out on the green hair dye. I'm going to do that, guys. It's been a matter of timing, and I got to be very careful with what I put out. And it'll be in the Discord server. Those in Patreon will have access to it before the Discord folks will. It will not be here in the sit rep or the podcast. It'll be something you'll have to go look at separate from this. But I got to be careful how I do this because I don't want people out there targeting innocent people and hurting somebody. That is absolutely not okay. It will not be tolerated. I don't think our people here, our followers, would do something like that. But if some crazy whack job who voted for Biden decides one day he wants to go hurt somebody and it's based on the information we provided, I'm not going to be a happy camper. So I've been very, very careful and very slow about doing this. But I did promise I would, and I'm going to work on that the rest of this week and get that information out. I know that law enforcement's aware of it. I know the fusion centers have had a lot of discussion and intelligence shared on it, and they are covering it up. They're keeping a lid on it, and that's mostly because of public safety reasons. The police and law enforcement and the fusion centers can't go out there and be reckless with the information any more than I can be. So I'm going to be very careful with how I do this, and you may have to put your thinking cap on to figure it out. So you got that to look forward to for those that are interested. Get on the Discord and the Patreon and just, hang in there. Be strong. Don't lose your faith in your higher power.
Mm-hmm.
You got anything to add?
No, I think we've been at it long enough tonight. Let people digest stuff, and we'll pick it up again Sunday.
Roger that. And I'll let everybody know what's going to happen over the next few days. We'll go from there. Thank you guys all for being here. Send me privately, send me texts or messages or direct messages and Patreon and Discord, maybe a topic you want to discuss on Sunday. I'd like some ideas where we should open the Bible and start and have a discussion about it. All right, guys. I love you all. I care about each and every one of you. You're my brothers and my sisters out there. Be strong. Keep the faith. This is Abraham and Intrepid, and we're signing off. The 14th of 2022, September, Wednesday. Good night, everybody.
All right. Good night.